Hello everyone and welcome back to Towergate. It is Towergate Day number 823. Friday, June the 28th, 2019. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, so before I get to some of the news items of the day, I want to cover the debate last night, the first presidential debate that took place on Wednesday night. And, okay, so I took some notes, so I'm going to go through these notes. But before I get to the notes, the specific things, let me just say I think that the big winner last night, was none other than President Trump. President Trump was the big winner last night. No question about it. And he's the big winner because basically when you look at that field, what you see is it's socialism. It's varying degrees of socialism. There's not a single candidate on that stage that is electable. Not a one. And the front runner there, who was supposed to be, who's in second place right now, was the leading one on the stage last night because Joe Biden wasn't there, was Elizabeth Warren, and she literally became the biggest loser by far last night. By far. In fact, I think she destroyed herself last night. I think she actually destroyed herself last night. I don't think she can recover from the mistake she made last night. And what I'm talking about is, let me get exactly if I got this, let's see. I thought I wrote this specifically down, the exact wording, but I did not write it down. But okay, so basically the question was, the moderator asked a question at one point to the extent of, how many of you, raise your hand if you would support Medicare for all and forcing all Americans out of their private health insurance? Only 2 people raised their hand. 2 people. Comrade de Blasio and Elizabeth Warren. Liawatha. I could not believe it. I could not believe it. And I think when she held her hand up and then looked around and realized the only other guy with a hand up was de Blasio. At that moment, it probably went through her mind, oh shit, what did I just do? That is a video clip that I promise you, will be played over and over and over again, and you cannot win a general election in this country when you're promising and believing that kicking 150 million people in the country off their private health care, over 70% like their plans, you want to kick 150 million people off and give them no choice. That is what she raised her hand to do, to support. And it was very clear by the question, and there's no doubt by the way she responded by shooting that hand up in the air very aggressively. That is a video clip that she'll never ever be able to walk back. She's going to try to walk it back. I promise you she'll start today to walk that back. But it's not going to work because the video clip is too powerful. And if she were to become the nominee when Trump gets into a debate with her, not only will the Republicans be running that commercial, he is going to make her relive that. And then she's stuck. If she tries to walk it back too hard, then her base thinks, oh, she's a phony, she's a fraud, she doesn't stand up for what she says, she backs down when she's challenged, and then she loses the energy of her base. She is stuck. She is stuck. No way out. She is by far the biggest loser from the debates last night for basically saying that she would support kicking 150 million Americans off of their private health care in order to get Medicare for all. And the reason she did that is because I think that Warren believes that she cannot let Bernie get to her left. If Bernie gets to her left, I think she's been told if Bernie gets to your left, he'll take all your lefties with him. You've got to stay to the left of Bernie until he's gone. And Bernie can hang around for a while because he gets a lot of small donations. So this is going to be what's going to ruin Liawatha. She is not going to be able to walk that line. And last night, I think, was a devastating self-own. I don't think she can recover from it. She can play it throughout the Democratic debates, but if she were to become the nominee, that's it. She could lose. The Democrats could lose 46, 45, 46 states because she simply will not be able to deal with that. It will be hammered over and over and over again. That video clip kicking 150 million Americans off private health care, that's it. That's a loser in probably 45, 44, 45, 46 states. It would be an absolute landslide. And I think a lot of corporate heads and corporate donors in the Democratic Party last night, when she did that, probably knew she's done. She's toast. She's cooked. So that's who I think the biggest winner and the biggest losers were. The debate itself, fortunately, what happened, I got a break in the action because about just coming up on maybe almost an hour into the debate, my screen went black. It went blank. I lost feed. So, and I thought, well, do I want to search around and try to find it somewhere else and watch the rest? But I thought, no, I've had enough. I've seen enough. I've been watching these people for 40 years. There is nothing different, nothing new. It's the same socialist crap that it's just recycled and remanufactured over and over and over again. It's the same exact talking points. It's the same thing. They've not updated their playbook. It's the same claptrap that socialists have been saying for 40 years. It never changes. It's the same thing. So I just thought, no, I don't really need to watch the rest of this debate. I mean, I've heard from each of them, and pretty much you have, there was only one person there, the guy on the far right of the stage, the bald guy, and he's still a socialist in a lot of ways. He's far, far left. Wouldn't vote for him by any stretch. But he was the only one who really made a halfway reasonable argument why you shouldn't kick 150 million people off private health care. But he still said that he was for, that he believes that health care is a right and that everyone should have health care, whatever. So anyway, it was a freak show, just as we expected, and there's not a single person in that group that we saw last night that can get anywhere near Trump. There's not a single person there that's presidential enough to even be on the same stage with Trump. He will destroy them with the arguments that they made last night, the things they talked about. They will just get destroyed. And that's with a friendly liberal media taking care of them, tossing them softball questions, not pressing them on the really tough ones. Trump's not going to do that, nor will the Republicans in a general election. They'll be going for the jugular and the things, and they won't get the protection from the liberal media in the general election. So I'm sure that Trump was very happy last night if he watched that debate, because he can see there is no competition for him there. And quite honestly, you don't really have that much competition in tonight's debate. In fact, some of the weaker candidates will be in tonight's debate. So we'll certainly be watching that, and I'll comment on that as well. But I'm just commenting on Wednesday night so far because that's all that's happened. In fact, the Thursday night debate's going on right now as I'm doing this video. So a couple other things. We heard the same old talking points. The economy only works for the top 1% and corporations. And the thing I'm thinking is we just had these polls of how many people approve of the economy, approve of Trump's handling of the economy. It's well over 50%, including among Democrats. In fact, the last poll, it may have been a Rasmussen poll, which is generally going to be a little higher. It wasn't a combination of polls, but in the Rasmussen polls are usually 5 points higher. So, but still, in that poll, 60% of Democrats approve of Trump's handling of the economy. They're not going to beat Trump on the economy. They're not going to beat Trump on the economy. And if they talk about doing anything on the economy and messing it up, that will scare a lot of people off. The economy is not the issue that they want to talk about. What they want to talk about is green energy and environmentalism. The problem is it doesn't even come into the top 30 items in the previous midterm elections. It didn't even make the top 30 things that people were concerned about. They don't care. The issue that's going to be the winner or loser in a lot of cases is the healthcare issue. And it's an issue that the Republicans have to come up with a plan. Because if they have no plan, then the Democrats' bad plan may end up, getting them elected. I think it's a big reason why they won these past midterm elections. The Republicans are going to have to come up with something for health care. That's just the bottom line. And they failed miserably at that. Obamacare was a failure, but the Republicans could not and did not capitalize on it. They better wise up, and they better make sure they have some sort of a 5-point plan, just principles, basics, keep it simple, of health care, something to combat the Democrats. If they have nothing against the Democrats' Medicare for all, we might end up seeing a socialist revolution and that sort of thing. So you have to step up to the plate and have something to combat, to argue the other side. You just can't say, you just can't demonize the other party's plan if you don't have one of your own. The Republicans better get on the stick on the healthcare issue. But on the economy, this is not an issue Democrats can win on. It's a loser. And especially when you saw every one of these Democrats across the stage talking about raising taxes and trying to go after corporations. When the fact of the matter is, and here's another reason why this is not working for them, is if you look at the Democratic Party, the DCCC, the DNC, they survive on massive donations from large corporations. So it's hard to imagine that the corporate Democratic Party, who survives largely on massive corporate donations, is going to nominate someone who's out there saying, you know, I'm not going to take corporate money. Because once they become the Democratic nominee, they're going to come into $500 million, if not $1 billion, of corporate money. They're not going to raise that from small donors. And so again, it's not going to work. So basically, the message across, pretty much across the stage from left to right, was regulations, taxes, and putting chains on business. And those three things are generally related to the economy. People are going to reject. They're going to reject that. And Trump will destroy the person running against him if they come out and start talking about capital gains, tax increases in general, regulations. These are all the things that Trump undid to get the good economy. And everyone knows it. Of course, you got de Blasio. He's promising free everything. Pretty much most of them across the stage. Free health care, pay off college loans, free college, all these things. They can't explain how they're going to pay for it other than to say, we're going to go after the 1%. The 1% don't stick around and take it. That's the problem. Just ask de Blasio. We just talked about the fact that the people who've been paying all the taxes in New York City are leaving. They are leaving. So last night, apparently the big winner, the people's favorite, I guess, who won a couple different polls, online polls, Drudge Report and things and such, turned out to be Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard. Now, I generally like Tulsi Gabbard. I think as a person, I think she's a nice person. I don't think she's quite the wacko, crazy socialist Democrat that the rest of them are. I think she's a moderate liberal, I guess you would say. When she starts talking about her foreign policy, I'm good with that. I can kind of handle her foreign policy. Maybe a little bit timid, but a little weak. But I could tolerate it if the rest of what she said sounded good. But when she starts talking about economics and trade and all these other things, that's when she loses me. So she's, for me, Tulsi Gabbard. I like her personally. I don't think she's a nut. I think she's sane. I like a lot of what she says on foreign policy, but that's the end of it. I can't go anywhere beyond that with her. She loses me after that. So, but still, of all the people standing on the stage last night, she was the most sane and most reasonable, I think, that was there, and she's still way far to the left of the country. So, and the corporate Democrat Party will never, ever allow her to be the nominee. But if she continues on, she could create some problems for some of the front runners. Let's see. Yeah, there's not really just. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys watched it and you saw pretty much the same thing I saw. I mean, yeah, one of the funniest things, at some point, the skateboarder Blasio broke out into Spanish, and they had just a bit of a screenshot there where you saw Cory Booker looking over at Beto like this. And I'm thinking, when he broke out, I'm thinking, well, that kind of pandering. Beto is obviously a rookie politician. Many politicians have tried that sort of thing. It always ends up looking like you're pandering. It never works out, and you always get abused for it the next day. Everybody says, oh, he was just pandering. It's not good to do that. But yet, the Blasio had to break out into the Spanish, and the look on Cory Booker's face was classic. It was priceless. Now, I didn't know why he had that look on his face at that point. I knew why I had the look on my face. It was because I'm like, there he is pandering. But the look on Cory Booker's face was like shock, almost like surprise. So we found out later in the debate why he got that look on his face, and that's because Booker himself broke out into Spanish as well to do a little pandering. So now we know why he got that look on his face. It was because Blasio beat him to the punch. Cory Booker thought he was going to be the one to break out the Spanish, and the skateboarder beat him to it. And they both looked like they were pandering, although I think that the skateboarder got the raw end of that deal. Although he was asked after the debate how he thought he did, and he said he thought he deserved an A. Kid you not. I thought he looked very weak. There's nothing there, man. He's an empty suit. None of them got. I mean, there's nothing there. That entire field, every one of them on that stage, again, Liawatha, Elizabeth Warren, may have been the only one that could have maybe made a run to be the nominee, or possibly she would be the VP. Maybe she's going for VP if she could hang around. But when she went out and said that she's for Medicare for all, and let me tell you, if the Democratic nominee and the VP both are whoever wins the Democratic nomination, if their policy position and the position of the Democratic Party in 2020 is Medicare for all, and that means kicking everybody off private health care insurance, it's over. They're going to lose 44, 45 states, maybe 46. We'll see. Are they that crazy? Are they that crazy? But it was a freak show. It was a circus act, just like we all expected. I'm sure many of you watched it. If you could tolerate more than 45 minutes of that, God bless you, because thank God my screen went black after 45 minutes or so, and I didn't have to watch anymore. I saw enough to know that there ain't nothing there. I'm sure, like I said, Trump was a huge winner last night, and the big losers were everyone who was on that stage. The biggest loser of them all, Liawatha. The funniest, craziest moment of the night was when the one guy, Julian Castro, who was like in Obama's administration, a cabinet level position, made the argument that he was for reproductive rights, reproductive justice for transgendering women, which he's talking about men becoming women. He's for full abortion rights for men who are transgendering into becoming women. I mean, it's okay. That's insanity. Okay, and to the average person, if they were listening closely and caught that, they got to think, man, this is a crazy party. This is a party of nuts. I mean, men cannot become pregnant. They cannot become pregnant. But he essentially said he's for abortion rights for men transgendering into becoming women. Maybe he believes that when you transgender yourself from a man to a woman, you suddenly can give birth. But at this point, as far as we know, that cannot happen. Has not happened. Maybe they'll figure out a way to do it. But at this point, I don't know how that. Yeah, I don't know where you would. Okay, I'm not going to go there. Let's just say it's crazy. It's crazy. He actually said that. Oh my goodness gracious! And they never called him on that. Never. They let it go right on by. That's why they don't want to have Fox News running any debates, because just about any of the Fox News moderators would say, "Whoa, wait, back up. What did you say?" Another thing I noticed, it's going to be a place that the Democrats are going to get slaughtered, and they weren't pressed on at all, is when they started talking about abortion. Oh yeah, we're all for abortion. We're all for abortion. Yeah, we're all for abortion. And they never pushed, not a single one of the moderators pushed it to and said, okay, you're all for abortion. Now let's talk about to what degree. They were never asked about late-term abortion or post birth abortion. They totally did not press him on that at all. Okay, they're all for abortion, but they left it there. They didn't go to where the real radical positions are. This late-term and post-birth abortion, which I'm guaranteeing you, probably at least half of them people on that stage support post-birth abortion, and all of them would support late-term. I'm damn sure of that. Now, as we know, very, very few people in the country, it's less than 10%, support late-term abortion. And post-birth abortion is just crazy. And again, if the Democratic nominee in the position of the Democratic Party in 2020 is late-term abortion, and especially something like post-birth abortion, if that's their position, again, they will lose 44, 45 states. Just absolutely, I'm telling you, man, it's they're getting a lot of help. They got a lot of softballs. They're not being pressed. I'm telling you, if these are the policy positions, now maybe they're just doing this for the primaries for the Democrats, but I mean, the Republicans are watching this and they're recording this. They're going to have all these clips to play in the general election. It's not like the Democrats can do this in the primaries and then try to walk it back and move to the center and change their positions. And if they do, then they lose their base. So, it's, again, the big winner was Trump. There's nothing there. There's no moderate, rational, reasonable Democrat. There's no Democrat on that stage who can beat Trump. There are none. So we'll see tonight. Maybe there'll be somebody who'll step out. But at this point, there was not a single, on the Wednesday night debate, there was not a single Democrat to get anywhere near Trump. As long as the economy stays good and he doesn't get sucked into a bad war, there's no way that any of those people would beat him. Now, let's see if we have some time for some other things. This is still a lot of these political characters, obviously, because after the debates, they're all out there, trying to correct the mistakes they made in the debates. And so the funniest thing, and probably you want to talk about dumbasses, we do the dumbass of the week here every week. I don't know that anybody's going to beat Bill de Blasio, Comrade de Blasio. He goes down to Miami last night, or maybe it was today, after the debates. He goes down to Miami. He's speaking to a crowd of SCAU workers, a lot of them, obviously, Latinos, because he's in Miami, Hispanics, Latinos, and such. And he drops a Che Guevara quote. He drops a Che Guevara quote, "Hasta la victoria semper," which means until victory always. And so he's down in Miami. So of course something like that's going to spark outrage because all them people fled the brutal commie Che Guevara, and in fact I heard someone say that this is a phrase that he used just before he would slaughter a lot of Hispanics and Latinos, so a lot of people. So yeah, that's a good way to get your ass kicked down in Miami, to say something like that. Now he comes out and tweets out that he was just told that was probably not a very good thing to say, and that he didn't really know it came from Che Guevara, and that he apologized. But the problem with that is that Commie de Blasio honeymooned in Cuba, in communist Cuba. And I understand, in fact, people already posted a lot of pics of it. If you go there, you'll see a lot of billboards with that same exact phrase, and that's probably where he got it, with the picture of Che Guevara and that phrase. And so that's probably where he got it. He knew it came from Che Guevara. He can't be that stupid. And he just said something really stupid and doesn't understand the history behind the phrase and exactly what was going on when Che Guevara was using that phrase, and the type of violent things that he was doing at the time, and using that statement to provoke the violence. So yeah, that was a really stupid move. He probably will be the dumbass of the week. He certainly will be a nomination. He'll certainly poll very high. I don't know he'll win dumbass of the week, but certainly Comrade de Blasio is already definitely a top contender for dumbass of the week for that performance. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Pelosi, Madam Botox, has caved. She has caved. And AOC is having a meltdown. So Pelosi has given up on the Democrats' bill because, just as we discussed months and months and months ago, even back when at the time during the government shutdown over the issue, I said eventually the politics of the issue are going to catch up, and Pelosi is going to have to cave. I don't know when and I don't know how, but eventually she's going to cave because the politics are going to catch up with her. And that's exactly what has finally happened. So Pelosi has caved. So the House is now going to pass, or vote on anyway, they already have voted on it actually, they are going to pass the Clean Senate bill to get the emergency border funding, the crisis funding for the border. The vote in the Senate was 84-8. The vote in the House to allow the issue to move forward, debate was 322-85. So no doubt about it, Trump won. Madam Botox lost. Took a long time. A government shutdown and a lot of back and forth, and a lot of Trump doing a lot of things, a lot of BS going back and forth, a lot of pressure on Madam Botox from the left wing. But she's probably looking at the internal polling numbers. She's seeing how unpopular that their position is. She knows Democrats are taking a beating. She knows that there's 30 or 40 Democrats who have to try to run in states that Trump won, that some of them won by 1% margins. And they know that if they continue down this road, they are going to lose them seats, and Madam Botox will lose the gavel. She knows that. And so she basically had to tell AOC and the far lefties to take a hike. She had to capitulate. She had to cave. Trump wins. Pelosi loses. And the border emergency funding will be voted on and passed probably in very short order. And then they can go to work on fixing the other problems. And Trump has obviously told her a few days ago that she had 2 weeks to get that solved. If not, he's going to start deporting these people. And he will. Okay, more news. Paul Manafort has pled not guilty to the state mortgage fraud charges in the Southern District of New York. That's absolutely a wonderful move. Since we have found out what we have learned about the Black Ledger, of course we knew it was BS, but now we know that how that was used. I think that Manafort should right now be mustering some sort of a defense, and I'm sure he probably is. He's going to fight this, and he should also go back and relitigate the previous things, because the origin of that investigation, which led to the charges being filed, started with that Black Ledger in that part of the investigation. That was fruit of the poisonous tree, and we know all the things that were going on around that. I think Manafort, if he's got the money, and I don't know, I know he's got a lot of money, or did have, if he can, he should fight that, and because that was all a rigged deal. But I'm glad to see he's fighting the charges in the Southern District of New York. Samantha Power, they're digging deeper and deeper into that. More emails have been read, more instances of the type of things that she was up to. Very similar to Peter's Been Stroking Us and Loose Lisa Page, working the same type of program. And remember, the UN ambassador kind of goes through the National Security Council. That would be Susan Rice. Susan Rice would be her immediate superior in this particular deal. And we're also learning from what John Solomon and others have read about in these emails, is that they were trying to cook up a plot, several different plots. One of them involved doing a show on 60 Minutes where they could politicize Trump's foreign policy in a very negative light to try to do as much damage to him as possible. That would be using her professional position in a political way, along with very many other people, in addition to all the unmasking that she did, whether it was under her name or she did it, or other people are doing it in her name. That is a true violation of the Hatch Act. They're talking about Kellyanne Conway. No, this is actually a true violation of the Hatch Act. Perfectly meets the definition, not what Kellyanne Conway has done. And so I think that they might be moving on that. Another thing about the Democratic debate is that pretty much last night, most of those Democrats, if not all of them, agreed that China is the greatest threat. Oh boy. See, crazy Uncle Joe, that's another one that's going to bite him. That's another one. That video clip is there. It'll never go away. The Republicans have it. So do his opponents. China, China ain't got nothing on us, man. Shit, China. Oh man. The clips that the Republicans are going to have in 2020 to use against the Democrats from these debates and from their campaigns, it's going to be so much material. It's literally like taking candy from a baby, and they'll get nothing from Republicans or Trump because they don't have to. Trump doesn't have to go through a primary process. This is why this is going to be devastating. There will not be any sane Democrats left standing by the end of this, and it's going to be a cakewalk for Trump. And if the policy positions of the Democrats and the Democratic Party are what we're seeing being laid out here in these debates early on, if that's their positions, they will lose 44, 45, 46 states. Well, we have Ocasio-Cortez, the wild-eyed commie. She was complaining and twittering all about the miserable conditions and the accommodations for those kids down at the border. And then she calls for a boycott of the company, this company called Wayfair, that's actually making the beds for those kids. And she's also furious about the spending bill for the emergency funding, which is humanitarian crisis, humanitarian money to deal with the humanitarian problem. She's mad about that and voting against that. This tells you that AOC is truly insane. She's stupid beyond belief. Dumb, stupid, insane. I mean, she's nuts. She's a political disaster, not just for the party, but for herself. I can't see her getting reelected. I mean, I don't know how that would happen. I don't know how she could get reelected. I mean, these positions are just even a liberal could dismantle her on these things that she does. They make no sense. We have Matt Gaetz. He is going to press charges against the woman who threw the drink at him, and he certainly should. And I wished Eric Trump would have filed charges against the woman who spat on him. Bernie Sanders is forced to admit, Commie Bernie, forced to admit that he is going to raise taxes on the middle class. But he says that you'll pay less for health care. Yeah, that's because you'll be getting less health care. It's what they call, I forget the term they use over in Europe, but believe me, it's not the same as what we have here. That is absolutely for sure. Let's see, we have, we have Bobby O going out after after his disastrous performance last night. Now he's out there today saying that the migrants heading to the border here are fleeing to the U.S. because of climate change. God, you got to be kidding me! They're fleeing to our border because of climate change. So global climate change is so destructive to them, but it's apparently not affecting us because they're fleeing to come here. This guy's nuts. Amy Klobuchar, the woman who eats salad with a comb, she's saying, talk about a gaffe, she's saying, we need workers in our fields. Oh boy. And of course, Bill de Blasio, Comrade de Blasio, saying, yes, Democrats do stand for a 70% tax rate. This guy's crazy, man. All these people are crazy. What a disaster. Now I got to go watch the other debate. Oh. Okay, well, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you. Bye.